Utility District meeting of October 24th, 2019 at 6:11 p.m. Can we all stand and do the pledge?
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Director Nyman.
Here.
Director Garcia.
Here.
Director Gibson.
Here.
Director Schoenberg is out and
Absent.
absent. Yes. And Director Kelling is here. Okay. Discussion. Do we need to adjust the agenda any?
I don't think so.
Okay. Public comments. Hello and welcome.
I'm Mary Altman. Is it just okay if I just sit here and make one public comment?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, great. I was wondering if you had ever been on the site called primarywater.org, and it is a site devoted to showing that there is primary water, that we live on a water planet, and especially with the mountains where we live, there are aquifers that have plenty of water for our uses and possibly more. And so I would just highly suggest you go on that site, and that's basically all I'm going to say.
What's
I didn't
it
have
called?
anything prepared. It's called primarywater.org.
Okay. Director Garcia.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Dee to respond to that and correlate it with some of the hydrological surveys and information that we have already gathered about the aquifers. And
Well, I haven't been on that website.
no, but what we have done independently of that.
Yes, but what we have done is we have a hydrogeologist who has studied this area pretty extensively, and also we've studied the research done by two other hydrogeologists in the area to determine just what our aquifer capacity is, a bit about the water quality. And in addition to that, we did a geophysical survey of the canyon itself, went all the way up to Lake of the Woods, and we actually profiled the bedrock. And so through about 10 or 11 cross sections, starting just down here on the other side of well 5, which is just near the edge of town, really, and going all the way up to Lake of the Woods, we determined the depth of the aquifer, the thickness of the alluvium in the canyon, and also where the water levels are in the alluvium. So we have a pretty good idea of really what we have going on here, but we're always after more information, and I'll access the website and see what they have on the website.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Amor Gaddafi, it was called the 8th Wonder of the World. He drilled down in the desert to the aquifers and had water for all his people, and unfortunately it was bombed, and so it no longer exists.
Okay. Manager's report.
You local resident?
Yes, I am.
You guys had instructed me to try to turn the damages to the truck into insurance, which I did. I mean, I talked to him about it, but I thought I'd ask you guys one more time. Since the two things were separate, the front bumper is less than our deductible, so it's not going to do any good to do that. Then the rear, it's only going to save us about 50%. We'll have to pay $500. They'll pay $500. So I didn't know if you guys still wanted me to turn it into insurance or just pay for it out of pocket, so we don't have the claim against our insurance.
Policy.
It just seems to make sense to.
Let's ask our
So we have
insurance specialist.
We have a $500 deductible.
Yeah.
I thought that we said it, because I asked about the deductible at the last meeting.
Oh, I didn't think we had the deductible, and I
Okay.
remember now that we do.
I think that commercial policies are different from private policies as far as claims
Yeah,
affecting your rate. I don't,
I believe that too, because they haven't gone up when we've had the,
yeah,
Or
so,
whatever.
I don't know if it would affect our rate too detrimentally if we,
Cool. Cool.
But it might be another question to ask them. Is it gonna affect us,
I will, I'll ask them. If they say no, then I'll just go ahead and submit it then and get it done, so.
Yeah,
The other thing is, the recorder that we needed, turns out, I did a bunch of check-in, called in the company. They did not have a replacement that came separately by itself, so we had to buy the kit, like we did last time, to get the software and everything that you need for the transcribing and the dictation and all that stuff, so I had to get that one, so it was $850 again like last time. And we got 4 new microphones, so now we have some extra microphones in case we have a community meeting or something, and then we could extend it out farther, so. And that's all I got, other than Alan would like us to call him closer to 7:30 if we could, just to keep it. Alan Dowd, about,
Oh, the attorney,
yeah,
7:30?
yeah.
Anything else?
Nope,
Administrative assistant.
can I ask a question?
sure,
Is Alan Dowd gonna be part of this closed session?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Administrative assistant.
So, I was just gonna, we got the new meeting recorder, I installed the software seems to be compatible, everything went in really well. I was telling Johnny too, it was probably good that we got the new microphones anyway, because the recordings were getting worse. The last meeting I listened to was one ear had speaking and one ear had really loud static. And that was probably the microphones were. So I think the whole system's gonna fix all my issues, and I'm using it today for the first time, and I think that's all.
Did it come with a new headset thing too?
No, right now I'm just using $8 headphones from Ace.
Well, then we may
Yeah.
get you a new
I know
headset.
Johnny said
I told her to pick some out.
he
and
did, and I just haven't
Amazon,
gotten around
so-
to it.
Because that might be an
Yeah.
issue as well.
It's gonna help a lot, yeah.
I mean, yeah, those were the really inexpensive ones. So that's going on, and then I wanted to remind you I won't be present at the next meeting, the next regular meeting. I'll be at the board clerk conference. I'll actually be sitting in the seat while Jessica Carroll drives. Pam will be in there with us, but I won't be driving, so you're welcome to call or text if there's any pertinent questions.
Where's that?
because
That's up north?
I'm actually technically on the clock anyway.
Up by Frisco.
Travel time is on the clock, so.
Well, we want you just
It
to
won't
listen
be
to the
extra.
meeting, just so you don't get dropped out of the loop, so we'll have you just
What's
listen to
that?
the meeting.
I'm just saying, any emergency questions,
Okay,
you can let me know. That was it.
that's it. Okay. Financials.
Okay, so the total checks was $50,055.77, which is, normally we don't have that amount for the second week. But part of that was the rest of the insurance, the medical insurance, because the new employee kicked in on this one. So, on the last pay run, we prepaid what the previous month was.
Right,
Well, it went up about
to 12,000.
$4,700.
Yeah, yeah.
So the check that you have here is making up the difference. Also, there was some
Why
work.
did you go with $4,700 for one employee?
Well, because it's prorated back, so
Oh,
there's part of,
prorated.
it's a couple, it's the last month plus the current month,
Oh, cool.
so that's why. And then the other one was that there was some repair work done, I guess at Mauto and Los Potres. I'm not pronouncing it
Oh,
correctly.
you did the asphalt repairs?
Right.
Yeah, there was 5 of them all over town.
Oh,
And that was
okay.
$87.50.
Asphalt.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that
Sorry,
was
to
part
go back
of
to
it.
the insurance again, but he's a single guy, so he should have only been like $2,400, right?
'Cause
Or instead of 4,000 something. We should have only.
Right,
been-
but it was for 2
So
months.
it's
Yeah,
2
so
months.
isn't it like only 1,200 a month for a single employee and 2,400 a month for
I
a
would have
family?
to, I'm just going by what it had on the invoice, so.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
look into that.
yeah, we need to check, cause it should be just a single guy.
We have the invoice here.
They said that they
on-
gave him the waiver and said that because they wouldn't give him social security numbers and stuff that he didn't have to cover them. That's the understanding I had.
He kept it, he's got a family on insurance right
Does he?
now. Yeah, well,
We'll discuss it
He
later.
probably has to have his child.
Check
on
it out.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's see, there was one other one. Oh, the dues came in for the special districts, was similar to last.
And there was an
then-
$11,000 one for Bakersfield Pump, which had to
Right.
do with Wolf Tank boosters.
Right,
Replacing the booster.
and then the well 5, fee, for D Jasper, so that
For
was
the-
included in
For the
there too.
BER.
Right. So,
And that hopefully will be reimbursed by the IRWUMP once that all contract stuff gets fixed with Tulare County and
so that's why it was so high, those additional ones. Other than that, the rest of them were,
normal,
know,
like
as
the electricity
they
and.
usually have.
Didn't we pay electricity the first part of the month?
No, we didn't have the invoice yet, and I knew it wouldn't be, I would be here before it was due, so.
And I wanted to ask, what was this, 8,000 to the California parking highway?
That's
looked up?
the,
Asphalt.
That's all repair.
Asphalt
Okay.
repair around town.
Okay,
Okay.
and that's the end of my report.
Okay, I make a motion that we pay our bills.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's see, it's 4,
401,
4-0, yeah, okay,
right?
yes, 401.
Hey, I did notice one more thing. And it doesn't affect the paying the bills, but the bill from Coastline
Yeah.
is still listing Greg Kingbird as manager.
Yeah. No matter how many times I tell them, it's still there.
Okay,
That happens all the time.
just thought I'd mention it again.
Yeah. I don't.
He's only been dead how many years?
Yeah.
I know.
2012. Yeah.
We tried to get them changed and,
Been that long already. It's amazing, ain't it?
this one.
Yes, it is.
Hey, man, Judy.
Insurance one.
Right
I
there.
can answer that.
Okay.
How long's Judy been gone?
Right around there too.
Okay, 6, vote on and sign, cross-connection control agreement.
Okay, this agreement is just like I said, it's the same exact agreement that we have with the county, but now it's got Dave Wasserman's name on it instead of side business, cause he retired and he's taken over the cross connection control for us. You guys already approved the proposal, now it's just a matter of signing the contract or agreement.
Yeah, as long as he has the family on there.
Yeah, he has
Yeah, that's
family,
fine.
that's
Yeah,
why
I
it
just,
was-
at one point, he wasn't gonna have the family because of some custody issues, but, hopefully they got that worked out.
Yeah, well, I would talk to him and
I
see,
will.
so that we can change it and save that money if he's not going to have that.
Yeah.
It would be better
Sure.
for us.
Well, they won't even charge us unless they already had information on children. So,
So this guy's new company's name is Cross Connection Control Program?
Cross Connection Services, Specialist Services, that's the new name. Yeah,
For which company is that?
it's the new company we're gonna use to monitor our cross connection control program, which I've been working with this guy for the last several years. He's a really good guy. He just got tired of taking care of all of Kern County. Now he wants to retire and take care of only contracts he wants to.
Okay. There's no discussion, I'll move that we, vote
Does he have
vote
to,
sign that.
hang on, does he have to have a license and is that,
Oh, he's
so
been-
he's gotta keep that current?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he does keep it current. He's, like I said, he's been working for the county
We
long enough
have.
to retire. He's all certified, he's got all the certifications, and it would be him that would have the problem when he goes to submit reports unless he was still certified. So the governing body's gonna make sure he stays in compliance.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Garcia.
You done?
Yeah.
Okay, then I move that we, approve and sign the, contract with Cross Connection, Specialist Services for the, cross connection services that we need, that the county is no longer gonna be providing.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
401. Okay.
You got a
Motion
copy
carried.
of that for Terry to sign before
I
you?
do you want her to
You can
sign
do it later if
Okay.
you want.
Okay, discussion and vote on well 5 emergency replacement project.
I've got nothing unless Dee wants to, I mean, I know there was a bunch of stuff going back and forth, but, Brahma and Lisa has been working on that, and Dean and
We're-
Curtis have been working
Well,
on it.
we're already there?
Yeah, it was pretty
Well,
much an
emergency
updating of the
replacement
one that we
Okay,
had.
yeah, but hold on a second, there's a lot.
Current pricing,
There's-
changing the titles and, you know, the boilerplate stuff.
We've made a bunch of those changes through the emails that I sent him, so.
Did she leave?
I don't-
Linda? Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you need it?
That's okay. I'm assuming it's, cause, never mind, it's all good. Okay. Where do we wanna start? How you doing, Dee?
Good, good.
One of the things, on,
Is this on the PER?
on the PER, we're on the PER, correct?
No,
Oh, we're not on the PER.
we are on
Number
the
7.
5 well,
Number
not, well
7.
5 emergency replacement project.
So the whole project in
The
general
grant-
right now.
Right.
Grant loan, the application,
Well, the application can't go in until we get the PER approved,
right.
so,
Let me see, yeah, some of this is a little bit confusing, I think. We, from the standpoint of paying for the engineering services, that's being done through Irwin, Tulare County, for the design of well 5 replacement.
and we're trying to get reimbursement for the PER, which we authorized for you to do, so, which we're paying ahead of time
Right. And
out of our pocket.
yes, and of course you've got a draft of it, and we're pretty close, I think, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
So we've got the PER 98%, and we have, from the standpoint of plans and specifications, because we want to get these things done, and to us, if we don't get paid for it for a while, that's okay. What's important to us is to get things ready to go, and
Yeah.
when you guys are ready to pull the trigger, we got them all done.
Right.
So the well design specifications, that package is 100% done. The equipping of the well is about 70% done. And so what follow, you know, the equipping follows the drilling. And so the drilling is the first thing that we want to get on the street.
Right.
And as soon as we get financing for that, those plans are ready to go on the street. And by the time that happens, the equipping plan specifications will be done. So we're pretty well ahead of the game there. We've been going back and forth with Tulare County, Denise England, on the contract for the design and the PER. I think both those are through Tulare County. Had some communication today. I think I'll pass that along to you, Johnny. We have, it's been approved. We have to send in some exhibits. We did that last week, but we just got an email from Denise England saying we sent a couple of the wrong ones in for some reason. We included something that we didn't need to include. So we're going to resubmit those tomorrow to her, but she prepares the contract, and when that contract gets prepared by the county, and I think she's working on it now, then
This is for the Irwin.
this is for the Irwin. This is for the Irwin. It'll be submitted back to you folks and back to us, and you know, we're ready to sign it as soon as it's ready to go. So that's kind of where we are on that.
Okay. Terry?
Okay. I'm at a loss. Okay, we're doing the PER.
Okay,
7A.
what he was just saying,
Saying.
what he was just saying is that that he's been working with Denise England
From the county.
from the county to get the contract for the IRWIMP, because they need a contract in order to reimburse, hopefully for the PER and also for the design of the well, because they approved that
Okay.
money, but we have to have a contract in order for them to do that.
So that's an update on C, 7C versus A and B.
Kind of.
Kind of everything.
Sort of A
Yeah, it's kind of,
and C. A and C.
yeah, it's A and C, basically, because it's the same subject, yeah.
Okay,
So, are we ready to go on to
on to,
B?
that's what
On
I
to
thought
B.
we were doing,
B.
but then, okay, we jumped to C, okay. That's where I guess I got confused.
Okay.
Okay, so there, we aren't voting then,
No, there's nothing to vote on.
okay,
Once he gets the contract, they'll send it to us, we'll have to review it, and then we'll have to approve it, and then we'll sign it, and then hopefully that'll work out for us to get reimbursed for the, engineering costs for the PER and for the design of
okay,
the new well.
okay.
But we're signing a check tonight?
Well, we're signing a check tonight for the work that he's done on the PER.
Oh, okay.
See, we're paying, we had authorized him in previous board meetings to do the work ahead of time before they get paid. So we have to pay him anyway, so we're gonna pay
So
him.
we're paying him now, but we're gonna
hope-
ask to get it
but
reimbursed?
We're asking to get
Yes.
that reimbursed.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Now,
Well, when are we gonna ask for that? Do we know when we're gonna do it?
what, the
Like,
IRMA? Or
Ask for reimbursement, yeah.
Well,
As
that's
soon as-
after,
what-
As
what-
soon as we get the IRMA contract.
as soon as the contract, he's working out the contract with Tulare County,
Uh-huh,
that has to do with IRWIM.
okay,
When they get the contract worked out, what they need on there, they're gonna send it to us, then we have to approve it as a board and sign it, and then we'll provide it to them. Then at that point, we can start asking for reimbursement. We'll start submitting those invoices and,
Sometime next
whatever.
year.
okay. I mean, just so long as we know when to flag it and when to do it, right?
yeah, we'll stay on top of it.
Okay, I guess that's what I'm asking.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay. Discussion B, discussion and vote on the project, PER.
Okay,
Before you get started, just for 1 second, did Curtis give you an additional updated PER? Because one of them, the one that Brown was gonna talk to you about, it didn't have the well site where me and you talked about doing it to the west of the tank. He still had it to the south of the tank and stuff like that, so.
This is south of the tank right now. And Curtis and I talked about that this morning, and we haven't added that to this.
So we will be moving it to the west side of the tank,
Well,
though, right?
What we thought, and maybe the best way to do it is to have, when we do the pre-construction meeting on site, pre-bid, I'm sorry, a meeting on site, we'll show both locations unless there's a real objection to drilling south. What we think drilling south is gonna really be problematic because there's really not enough room. But we do know that we have the lot to the west, and so we're gonna point both of those out and get their opinion. They could either drill to the west or to the south.
When we were out there that day, you were looking at the map and you said that the aquifer could drop off steeply right there at the south, but we knew it'd be good to the west of the tank. So Lisa was concerned about the environmental being done without it being spelled out in the PER, that we're doing it in a different location than what it shows on the PER.
Let me, what we'll do, I think maybe the best thing to do would be to give two locations.
Yeah, A and B or whatever.
Dr. Garcia.
For clarification, I wanted to, ID the location to the south, will that put it on Saya property?
No, that's still our property. Our property goes to a point. And if you remember, we put a drain in at the end of the booster house just outside of the fence. So we still have that area right there where we would still be on
It's
the
just not
property.
fenced in yet.
It's not fenced in yet, and but it looked like the aquifer might not be as deep there. We didn't know it, but Dee pointed out on the county maps, we own another triangle to the west of the tank, right with our property, so we
Going
have
towards the house, up the hill.
towards Fraser Mountain Park Road, right next to the tank, we have a pie shape that goes out there too, that I didn't know we had, so we could drill there and move the fence out a whole lot.
Is that on, if you can turn to the 10 of 26, and that's where the map is, so you're talking about.
On page
and that-
10, yeah.
On that kind of little triangle on the upper left,
Yeah, it'd be the,
is that what you're
yeah,
talking about?
but not just that, but the map actually, our lot actually goes farther out than that triangle shows.
Okay,
But yeah, we would just be drilling somewhere towards that point up there in that top left, or like Dee said, maybe if we define it better with the map, we might put it to the south because it'll make it easy there too, but, I think labeling the two would be fine for Lisa's sake, just to have the environmental thing.
You can do that.
Here's,
I could just give them copies of the PER too.
okay. And this PER is a draft, it's not approved, so there's gonna be corrections to it, so it's nothing official as of yet. We approved it with changes last meeting, but we're gonna
Still-
review everything so we can get it.
okay.
Okay, Brahma, let's,
Okay, Dee, you wanna take a look at, page 5? So, whatever that,
The executive summary?
on the executive summary, down at the bottom, that figure of 759, that needs to be corrected to whatever the actual costs we have. I mean, I think on
Well,
on
wait,
the other, on the
And the new
other,
one?
I don't even
Do
see
you have,
750.
do you have the new one?
yeah, I have,
I have a total at the bottom of page 5, it says 802.
Yeah, that's.
here, let me get you guys a copy of this. This is,
Did that one just come in?
this
Is that the current or is that the
this
current?
is after they made some changes.
No, I'm thinking,
Because on the old
I'm thinking
one-
this might have.
Right, because we didn't have on there, you didn't have legal counsel, this is with legal counsel added, and,
Oh, yeah, because that's not on here.
hold on just a second, guys.
Okay,
Let me make a copy of this, I'm
okay.
sure this better be the right one.
Yeah, that'd be important.
Huh?
So that would be important that we have the right one.
Yeah, because I've got two now.
Unfortunately, when the revisions were made, the date on the PER wasn't
Yeah,
changed,
the
so,
date didn't change.
so they all match.
Oh,
But this one,
Mine has
this one's got October 15th, 2019, the one you have says September, right?
Well, no, this is October 15th,
Oh,
but it actually was sent on the 23rd, and when they
Okay.
sent it, when Curtis sent it over, he didn't change the date, they didn't change the date on the front of the,
Okay.
so that's something we need to try to keep up on, so we don't get confused. Okay.
Old one.
What's that?
Is that the one I gave you a
This-
couple days ago, or is that the one from your book, your notebook?
This is,
That's his notes.
well, this is the one
The one
that
in
you
your
gave me
notebook.
the other day.
Yeah, there may have been another update.
there's another update, the one in your book?
Yeah, look at the one in your notebook and see if that one's different.
Let's see.
Well, it is, because his notes said that there's a 700
Okay, he's,
figure on.
okay, well, there was, so he made that change already, okay.
Okay.
But it may not be totally correct, because it'll change probably again. I guess first of all, we should just go through the email first and make sure that we discuss everything.
Yeah,
That's probably the easiest way, and then I can whatever else I find over here with, Lisa's notes. It would have been nice if she was here, but it makes it a little more difficult. Okay, so on the first one, let's see, let's just take a look here where we're at.
Could I have a copy of that email? I don't have it with me.
Oh, you don't,
Is
sure.
that one from Curtis you're talking about?
Yeah, the one from
Yep.
Curtis.
I got it.
Okay. So, if you go to page 23, we've added in, so on number 1, he says here, I updated the project cost $7,500 for legal fees. That was blank before. He also added money for well foundation and new well building enclosure. So he's got that in there. I'm not sure where in here that's at. He also has done the environmental report services. We added the 2,500. So the only thing that we're missing from this report, did you get any information?
Yeah, I messaged a couple different law firms that deal with bond counsels. I spoke with one today, a representative from Best and Krieger. I don't know if you've heard of them. Best and Krieger.
Okay, sure, yeah.
You've heard of them?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. They work a lot with special districts. They've worked a lot with USDA loans and stuff. She's gonna have me a written quote and proposal tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'll have that number for you.
So the final number that we have in here on the executive summary and this final project cost is gonna change again. It's gonna go up because we didn't have bond counsel in there. So as soon as Tiffany gets the
Okay.
quote for what that cost is, we need to add that to the PER.
Does it, since it's a preliminary engineering report, does that mean that everything has to be exactly correct on dollar amount, or does that come into play when it's actually the engineering report? Since it's preliminary,
But it still needs to be, an estimate has to be in there. We have to have it because that's how we're asking for the amount of money that we're asking for.
What's your input on that, Dee?
Well, this is preliminary, but if we're able to get
Get as close as
that
possible, right?
information, I think we should put it in. If we get it, when might they have that?
She's emailing me tomorrow,
Okay,
so
so-
Monday, I
Oh,
can send
that's
that
fine.
number to you Monday.
Yeah, we'll include it. I mean, that's no problem.
Okay.
I think, all the costs that we're going to incur, we certainly need a placeholder for it, so we'll put it in.
Cool. Okay,
Check.
and
Double check.
let's go to page 12. Okay, he said he didn't revise it yet. Our language says the rates are subject to a 10% increase and not that a 10% increase will occur every year. I thought this could be discussed more. So, right now it says the water rates for the district were increased 10% on January 1st, 2019,
Which they did.
which we did. These are shown in figures below. The rates are subject to a 10% increase every year until 2021.
a follow-up email with Curtis, he was gonna change it, he was gonna add that it would be increased at the board's discretion or something to that effect, so he was gonna make it more clear that it may not go up.
He indicated on this, the sentence says the rates are subject to a 10% increase every year until 2021 at the discretion of the Fraser Park PUD Board of Directors. So he did include.
Yeah, I think that phrase, the rates are subject to
Every year.
every year until 2021 at the discretion of Fraser Park, that's actually perfect, I think. Yeah, are you guys in agreement with that? Because basically it's saying we could raise it 10% this year and next year, even though we're not raising it this year. So,
Agreed.
Okay.
so we'll make that, so we need to make that change.
Well, Dee's already got it, so I'm sure Curtis has already done it.
Yeah. What's that? But it's not on the
Not
copy.
in the-
But this copy
Yeah. Not in
was,
this
came
copy.
before he,
Right,
we had to email
right.
back and
I'm
forth,
just
so.
making sure he's got the notes, so we,
No, he read it to us.
yeah. Yeah, I know. Okay, number 3, which we just went over, we added the $7,500 for legal fees and $2,500 for environmental fees. He did mention a need, but we do need the bond counsel on there, and,
Where did you say the footing costs went up?
the building costs.
Yeah,
It's,
which lot was that in?
I gotta,
Construction phase?
Well, he didn't have originally the cost for building the, for building over the well, the building for the well,
we thought we were gonna reuse the building that's there.
Right.
but,
But how can you do that?
well, he will
Well,
not.
Well, I mean, sometimes you can, but that well house was rebuilt by the crew, and I wouldn't think it would move very well. So, we'll just pour a new slab and have that figured in the budget and have the building built.
Right, which, I'm not sure where that's at, being,
I seen it, me and Lisa found it somewhere here in the PER.
What, cost for a new building?
Yeah, it was like 25,000 for the estimated 25,000.
It's, on item 19, page 20.
Oh, yeah.
on
19, page 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Furnish and install a well pump and motor building, 25,000, and the slab. And just for history, when we did well 6, we ended up not having enough money to build the building, so then we had to build it and enlarge the foundation, so I would prefer that we not have to do that this time.
Learn by our mistakes, right?
Yeah, we don't have Billy here anymore that was, really good at construction, so.
Yeah, that's fine. So we got that in there, so, let's see, that was number 4. Number 5, that was what we were discussing before. You're gonna add, the one for the west, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that needs to be updated. Now, number 6 on page 11, this is the thing, I don't know how we wanna, discuss this in here, or how we wanna list it, because Monte Vista Well, doesn't have that capacity.
I clarified this with Curtis too. I believe he's gonna change it to where it's 0 gallons per minute because it won't pump into the system. And he's basically gonna take that out of the equation. Is that correct, Dee?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not hooked up to the system.
And even, it is, but it ain't gonna go, it ain't gonna do nothing. It ain't gonna pump nowhere, so.
Right.
Shouldn't have it on there as a viable water supply.
Right.
Thank you.
So is he gonna remove it completely, or is it just gonna state that it's 0?
Should remove it.
Well, we have indicated that it will not be used and cannot be, but I'm trying to remember how we actually did that, but I'll check that out and we'll make sure that we.
Right, because my concern is that when I read in the report, it said, I mean, which is true, that we hadn't used it also in the past because of fluoride concerns.
Yeah, that's what it states
And-
here.
And that's what it states in the report. However, I know that we did some new water quality testing, and I think we came back meeting standards. However, it's not hooked up to the system. So that's why I was concerned whether we even put it in there, because
We don't want any misunderstanding that it's a source.
that it's a water source.
Okay, we'll clarify that. All our tabulations up to this point in time have always included Monte Vista but basically as a non-productive well or standby is
Right.
what we've included it. So I think we need to mention it, but then we need to say, you know, it is, you know, well, I won't say inoperative, but would need major, you know.
We need to put a line in there about it needs major piping.
Yeah, reconnection to the system,
And
it's not a
change.
viable option if we have to go connect it to the system before we can use it.
Right, right. And so we'll put in some wording as to that, because I think we need to recognize that it's there, but it's not functional, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Johnny, when was the last time we used Monta Vista?
Years and years and years and years.
we don't know.
It's always just been considered a backup, and it was supposed to be piped into well 5, so we could mix it if it was high in fluoride.
Yeah, but to answer her question, we don't know when it was used last.
Oh no, I mean, it's back to 60s, I would guess. But we run it every month, or every quarterly to do sampling, but it just won't pump into the system.
Okay, but I was just wondering, when, as a company, when was the last time it was
That's
used?
what we're saying.
You don't know.
Nobody is alive that ran it,
Okay.
except for when we do sampling.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so that's everything from the email. Now, on page 21, we had asked this to be fixed, but it wasn't fixed. On 6.1, the preliminary project design,
Mhm.
it says the new well will provide a new water supply for the
Oh.
district, and that should be provide an existing water supply. Or how do we wanna phrase
Yeah,
that?
because it was, oh,
We'll put something in such as secure or reliable, or, you know, that.
Because it's not a new water supply,
That's correct.
I mean, it's just replacing an existing water supply, so we need to say something like
How
that.
about replacement? Maybe that's the one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Replacement water supply.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like a good,
Thank you
Uh,
for that.
a replacement
Yeah.
water supply.
Yeah, that'll work, because that is absolutely correct. It's a new well, but it just is a replacement.
But it's, yeah, it's not an existing, let me look through this,
Let's see, 7.
cause then we gotta get to the one page where we're gonna change all the figures.
Oh, boy.
And I just wanna make sure there's nothing else that, Lisa had on her.
and D, on 6.2, the schedule, do you think you're still gonna be able to do this schedule?
Say again, please?
The project schedule?
Yes.
You've got down here, prepare and, the plans and the specifications, and do you think we'd still be able to stick to this schedule?
We have the plans and specifications already prepared, so yes. For the drilling,
That's it?
and then,
Okay.
then the drill and construct the water well, and then advertise for well equipping in January 2020. We'll have those plans done for equipping within the next week. We're at about 70% right now. For equipping, we're 100% for drilling. So we're already there in October for what we said we'd be able to supply in November.
Okay.
We're ahead of schedule.
So the short answer is yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I'm looking at November, and November's just in a week, so that's why I was asking. Okay.
Okay, let's go to page 25, and so
Oh, boy, yeah, we,
so
yeah.
the interest payment. So if you look down, first of all, the one thing we wanted to talk is, it said the district currently makes the following, it should say annual payments for debt service, and reserve plus replacement
Yeah, I was wondering where that replacement thing was at.
What should it say besides that? And what?
Debt service and reserve plus replacement.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, that way it makes it clear of what it is, because it includes three things. It's the debt service, which is interest and principal, and then our replacement requirement and our reserve requirement. So, so then on loan 3, if you look there, D.
Yes.
The interest payment should be for this year is $13,808.74.
808.74.
818.
818. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. 818.74. 13,818.74. And
Right, which then changes the total debt service to what, 18,818.74. Okay.
That's about $200 to that.
Yeah. The replacement requirement should be 1971.36.
Okay. 71.36.
Right. The total reserve, as far as I know, is fine. That's just showing what we have as in our in the accounts, I guess. That was the only thing that Lisa may I don't know that if we wanted to break that out, like, because you have total reserve, but we don't have like the reserve account. I mean, she was getting a little more technical of maybe breaking out reserve and replacement, or
We can do that, we just need the numbers, that's all.
Then you'd have a total reserve and a total replacement?
Well, yes, the reserves, I think we have reserves and replacement as one number, and that's the 27,559.
you know what? Just to make it easier, and she may say something later, but let's put total. Just that line, say total reserve and replacement.
Okay.
That way it indicates that it's the replacement money and it's the reserve money added together for that particular loan.
Okay.
That's what we have in the bank, basically. Now, if we go down to loan number 4,
Okay.
the principal payment is $20,000 per year.
Okay. Put it 15.
And the interest payment for that is $34,850.
850.
And then the total debt service would be $54,850.
50. Okay.
And replacement requirement, it's actually it's 5,166.96. Okay, it's a penny.
Wow.
It's off a penny.
Oh, 9.6, I said 9.7, okay.
I know how Lisa and you guys are, so no problem. We'll get it to the penny, no problem. So we change principal payment from 15,000 to 20,000, interest payment from 35,4750 to 34,850, debt service from 50,487.50 to 54,850.
Correct.
And then the replacement requirement, we changed that by 1 penny,
Right.
and total reserves
And then again, you can put reserves plus the replacement.
and replacement.
Right,
Okay.
and replacement. And then when we get down to loan number 6, that payment, principal payment is $38,000.
Oh, right, 38. Okay,
The interest is $47,171.26.
47,171.20,
No, 47,171.26.
0.26, okay,
Yeah. And the total debt service is 85,171.26.
okay. 85,171.26,
Correct.
okay.
And then on the reserve requirement, that figure is $7,885.92.
7,885.
0.92.
Okay. Got it?
The replacement requirement is up the same?
What's that?
The replacement requirement is the 9,905?
Yes, that is correct.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is correct. And then we'd say total reserves and replacement.
Okay. Got it. And that stays at 131, 332, 86.
Yeah, I didn't see where we changed that, cause there was some discussion when we were looking at our requirement, and we've met the requirement. However, we got approval when we did the telemetry to take out of the replacement fund. So we took like $21,000 or something like that out of the replacement fund to pay for the new telemetry. And so, as far as I know, we don't have to replace that money because they gave us authorization to use that money.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just continued to meet the requirement going forward,
Okay.
unless they tell us something different, you know. So, so then the next line, I had a problem because we say proposed loan. I don't know, I'm thinking it should say proposed loan / grant.
Okay.
Because basically they're loaning, because we're
Gonna
a
loan us
disadvantaged community.
55% and
Right,
grant
so
is
we're,
45%.
right,
And
and
that
so I
number,
don't,
that number should actually match this 802.
right, and that's the other thing is that whatever that final number is after we get the bond council in there, that number 760,000 needs to change,
Yes.
Probably everything under that, correct?
huh?
And then all the numbers under it also, correct?
Um,
It's gonna be a different interest amount, different.
yeah, that's something that I don't know how we figured that out.
I don't either. I think maybe Curtis and them did.
I think that was an estimate.
Okay, also you should add on there, reserve requirement,
Oh, yeah.
because you didn't have a reserve requirement, because usually USDA requires us to have a reserve requirement for the loan. So we need to add whatever that is, and then change total reserves to reserve and replacement.
And we'll figure out that requirement based on the new,
Yeah,
Total for the proposed loan?
we'll let Curtis do that estimate, because
Okay.
that's not, this is just a preliminary engineering report, and then we'll get the actual figures once we determine the loan and the grant and we get it done, so.
Now, you guys said that it should be a grant loan, or loan grant?
Yeah,
When did
loan-
that happen? Because I thought when we looked into it, we were told that we couldn't get a grant. That it was only gonna be
It's a loan grant, because we are a disadvantaged community. No, we were not told that it's a loan grant, because we qualify as a disadvantaged community, that it's something like.
The state would have gave us a loan. USDA will give us a grant loan.
Yeah, USDA will give us a grant loan.
Okay.
Yeah, the state wouldn't
Give us anything.
give us anything, so we're going to USDA.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, USDA is the federal.
Let me make sure that I have this correct.
Okay.
Okay.
The top line there in that italicized print
Right.
would be proposed loan grant, and then it'll just be amount. And right now, without adding the bond council, it's 802,513, but we'll add the bond council.
Right. Oh, also, up when you say debt repayments,
Let me see, yes.
you should propose project loan, we should put /grant.
Let me see, where are we there?
And when you look at where you have the box, the table,
Mhm.
if you look up in the table, it says proposed projected,
Project.
Proposed project loan principal payment, we should put /grant.
Okay,
And same for
The one under it?
proposed, yeah, and say loan/grant reserve.
okay. Got it. Okay, got that. The principal payment, we have, on the, that was calculated at 19,000 per year.
Right, so you're gonna need to
Yeah,
recalculate
we'll
that.
recalculate.
Once you get the bond council and you know your total amount, then you could recalculate.
Is that a no interest loan? We pay, what's the interest rate on that loan grant? Or do we know?
I don't think we know.
It's not zero interest though.
I don't think it's a zero interest, I think it's a
Last
very
time it was
low.
2%.
Yeah, something like 2%, I think.
Okay,
I believe it's a 2%.
okay. And then the interest payment, that'll also change, that'll be a
Right,
recalculate.
and then the total debt service will change, and then you're gonna add in reserve requirement, and you gotta figure out what that calculation is.
Mhm. Okay. So those will all get recalculated.
And let me look through this other page just quickly and make sure there's nothing else she had, because she had 2 reports that she made notes on. Now, we don't need to really approve anything, I mean, do we need to?
Not necessarily, because you did vote with changes.
Right,
But if you wanted to, once another final copy comes out, proves it, and then give a final okay, it's really up to you now. Cause you've already taken the vote.
well, yeah, I mean, I think that we've already proved it. I think going forward, we just would like, because we said pending changes, is if everybody's in agreement with this, with these changes, then we would go forward with the
Right.
PER.
We'll review him when he makes all the changes and bring it back and.
Well, I mean, my concern about waiting, we don't want, I mean, you could have me and Lisa review the changes to make sure that they made them what we discussed in here. And then we would just say it's okay, and then have him submit it.
We'll submit the corrected PER to you, and then
Also with a new date.
and the new
On the front.
And then we'll just wait for an all clear and okay from the board before we issue.
Right, but do I need to make a motion?
Oh, we
We've already approved it, so we've approved it with changes, so,
Right.
so anyway, so yeah, so once you get that, make sure that me and Lisa get it, and then we'll review it quickly, and so we can get it submitted, cause I don't wanna wait till another board meeting, because we're already behind, and we need to get this submitted so we can get the application in. And that's what's holding up the application, so we need to get this done.
Right.
And so, unless there's anything out, and when Lisa reviews it, then it'll be fine.
Oh, bets are off then, huh?
Well, yeah. Shut up, Johnny.
I was just gonna find a couple of pennies in there for sure.
And, you know, but that's all the notes that I have for this, so I'm happy with it, and, so we'll just review what you have, and you're gonna add in, of course, the two locations, west side, because you already have south side in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for your hard work, Donna.
You all are very welcome.
Good job, bro.
Okay.
Great.
Number 8, discussion
That tired me out.
on meter replacement project. Discussion, and vote on project application and the project DER, and we don't have that.
I probably ought to comment on that.
Please do.
No, please.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
yeah.
have nothing, so.
And that's really my fault, I haven't increased the amounts on the project cost, and I'll do that. We're running at about 3% a year of the construction cost increase index. And so I've stated it today, but I didn't get to it. But I'll update that report with an increase of about 6%. This report was written in November of 2014,
Right.
and so we'll.
It's been that long since we've been
2014?
kicking this thing around?
Yeah, so it's,
Yeah.
so it's 2 years back right now.
2 years,
And
wait,
So we'll,
how do you figure 2 years? If it was in 2014, and this is 2019,
it was 2017.
Oh, 2017. He said 2014.
he did say 2014, that's what I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, 2017.
I know
Yes.
that.
It scared
Okay.
me for a minute.
I was like, okay, 2017.
I lost some time, Dee.
I'm a little bit behind, way behind now.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 2017, and so we need to put 2 years of construction cost index increases on these numbers, and I will do that. And get it out, I'll set it back.
I don't know how it's gonna work, but I don't know if you were on the last phone call, but, we met with Joe Karkoski, the Assistant Deputy Director for, Financial Assistance for the state.
Was that the one last week?
Yeah, he came out and he implied that in December, when they get that new funding worked out, that, we may be compiling these, joining these projects.
Yeah.
The consolidation as well as the smart meter project, he feels like we might be able to speed the whole process up. He feels like the state has been, taking too long to fund things, because the prices are never the same when you do it, so just so you're aware, hopefully that's a good sign from the state.
And it's a function of their delays, so.
Yeah.
Nothing, no, they're the only entity involved with it.
That's what he was
They're
saying.
complaining
so-
about it, and yet they're the ones that are delaying it, so.
Yeah,
And these need 3 signatures.
Okay.
B?
On the consolidation planning project,
Okay,
um,
okay, D, yeah, the 9, the LOW, consolidation project, yeah, the
Oh, I just,
project meeting held on October
before we
17th. Oh,
leave
yes,
the, meter replacement project,
yes,
I was the one who sent the letter,
yes,
about the pending lawsuit
yes.
that needs to be filed by next Monday. If I do so, I was hoping to discuss it with you and come to some kind of agreement or,
right now our legal has the letter and is reviewing everything, and, we won't know anything until he gets back to us. Because it's our understanding that we've met all requirements for all of it, and we did the public notices according to the state law and everything, so, but since you wrote the letter, we wanted to make certain, so we sent it to our attorney, so he's reviewing it right now.
okay. I mean, I just would like, did you have him review this?
Huh?
Did you,
Is
The
that
resolution?
Yeah,
did he review this?
I sent him a copy of that yesterday when he read your concerns in that letter.
Do you know what's
He had me send any backup information, so I sent him the notice of exemption, I sent him the resolution and the minutes from the meeting.
Okay.
So he is reviewing that all together and the process to see that it was all,
Okay.
handled.
Cause I don't want to see the district, spend money on a lawsuit that could be negotiated. Because I think this is an alarming agreement. I think it's completely one-sided, saying that you're agreeing to whatever the state has, to do whatever the state wants, and also, the data collection of citizens. I don't think any of this was, outlined or discussed with anybody. You know, the data collection alone of these smart meters is alarming. I mean, they'll know when you flush your toilet and take your shower, and there's nothing we can do about it.
That's the water saving aspect of it. That's knowing, that's so when somebody says, you know, I didn't know I had a leak, or, you know, there's no way I had a leak, and we could go out and pull up that data and say, well, but you had water that ran between 2 and 6 o'clock in the morning. That would help you as a customer know that it was a toilet or something that you needed to fix, and it would actually ultimately save you money in the long run.
Well, I think these things need to be balanced between, the citizen privacy, rights, and, I don't think this was discussed, for the negative declaration, and at minimum, you would have to do a mitigated negative declaration,
Okay,
now that these things are come to light.
can I have no idea what you're talking about.
This is we're on the meter replacement.
I understand that, but Johnny and this lady seems to understand what is going on and talking.
Yeah,
Do
you
you
brought
go?
it up at the last meeting about, there was concern about the radiation.
I understand
We-
we got the letter. This is obviously a different letter, because
No, this is the letter from me.
It's
An additional
It would-
letter.
that's
There's
what
an
I'm saying.
additional letter.
Okay,
She
I did.
has,
And the long and the short of it is we can't do, we believe that we have followed
I don't
all the
have
legal
an additional
requirements, and
letter.
now we have to have the attorney
The attorney.
address it, because since it was served to us as a
Okay,
legal
you're an
document.
employee of the district, and I want to talk to the board of directors, because I think that I'm a citizen of this community, and that these are valid concerns that I'm raising.
Oh, I agree, that's why I sent it to the attorney, so we could
Well,
answer
I-
all that.
we directed him to send it to the
Okay.
attorney.
Well, I know, but that's fine, but I'm just saying, you know, to throw up a brick wall and just say, we're doing everything legal and just, you know, shut up, I don't think is a correct response.
No, we're not
To a
telling
And
you.
I don't
I
think
think
that's what we're saying.
We're not
You
saying
took
that
that
at
out of
all.
context. I said we sent it to the attorney to make sure that we did everything according to the law and correctly, so we don't do something
Well, but you don't
wrong.
even know that. Until you talk to him tonight, you won't even know if you did everything correctly, and I can guarantee you didn't. So I'm here to negotiate, and if you don't want to, then, you know, that's fine, I'll just file a lawsuit and cost the district money, which is not my intention, to cause anyone pain or legal fees or anything like that. I just wanna be heard, I want these things to be done right, and I think that we have a right to insist on that. This was never noticed. This wasn't noticed to everybody for 30 days before you signed it. You can't operate that way.
I think that's why, we're not guaranteeing. What we did was we sent it to the attorney, and he's gonna look it over. He knows the legal processes, and he'll tell us, yes, you did it right, or no, you didn't do it.
he's
We
not.
haven't
I mean,
made that
it's not-
decision.
The CEQA is very gray, and, you know, I mean, I have the section 21157.5B. I mean, unfortunately, none of you guys, you know, like the law or have any, you know, it's like, I enjoy it, I like the fact that we're protected by these California Environmental Quality Act laws. And it says, when you find something out new, you have to, you know, at the very least, I mean, I would think it would be another EIR, but no, you have to do a subsequent mitigated negative declaration. So that means that you have to revisit it again, you have to I mean, hundreds of pages are written every day on the effects of smart meters. I mean, there is MD Safe.
You have a smart meter on your house, and you have a smart meter.
But I have it covered
for-
and I have it grounded. I
Yeah.
mean, there's things that you can do to prevent,
And we're talking
wildlife
about
from
putting
being
a smart
affected
meter
and
in
myself from
front of
being
the house.
affected.
It's not even that close to the house.
Mine is the
You have
You have gas
electrical, you
and
have gas
electric.
and electric. They both are smart meters.
oh, okay.
And
Well,
you-
this is,
and even the thing that you
this is
sent,
cumulative.
see, and I took you serious, the backup documentation you sent initially, I researched it, and it said it has less of an RF signal than a cell phone,
I know.
much
well,
less, so I just assumed But anyway, so we're just trying to make
Well,
sure we
that-
did the
I
right
just
thing.
think
And
that-
just so you know, we didn't do a lot of the stuff.
I didn't have my notes with me, and I think you're picking and cherry picking what the information that I sent. I know
I think you're
with cell
perceiving,
phones, you're
I
completely
think you're
wrong.
perceiving me as an argument. I'm not an argument. Everything I do, I try to do absolutely correct. I'm not debating it. I'm not doing anything. A lot of the stuff that happened was done by our grant writer as well, Self-Help Enterprises. So we may not know every process that happened because D. Jasper and Associates, Self-Help Enterprises, everybody had a part in this. Our environmental people did their stuff. They submitted it. That's why we need somebody else to look at the whole process to make sure that it was done correctly.
So can you table your action until next regular meeting when we've
No,
had?
I can't.
Okay.
Because it has to be within 30 days of the filing of this notice. So unless you have any, any
And I,
second thoughts.
like I said, I don't even know what that notice you're showing
That's the
me.
resolution.
Okay.
The resolution that we made to go forward with the
In-
meter
in
replacement
2017.
project. No.
You'll understand more when you talk to Alan Dowd.
Okay.
He'll
No,
explain
it
the
was-
process.
It was this that you just signed less than a month ago.
Right, that's a resolution.
That in 30 days, it's like on Saturday, and so because that's not a court date, I have until Monday to file a lawsuit saying that you didn't comply with these things, and, I mean, obviously I'd rather not. I mean, I would rather see you table this agreement.
We can't do that.
That's just the resolution.
Yeah,
That's
no,
not what
that's
we
just
did
the
prior
resolution.
to.
For 30 days. This isn't even valid right now. It takes 30 days to.
That resolution has to do with the funding, correct?
That has to do with,
apply for. the
that's
grant
just
funding.
to apply for grant
No,
funding.
it's not. If you read it and talk to your lawyer tonight, because this is basically, this is what they do. It's like the chicken and the egg. It's like, they're gonna say, if you disagree with anything that to do with the smart meter, like cutting people's water off, spying on people, doing all this other stuff, you're gonna say, but wait, we didn't agree to all that. And they said, well, yes, you did, because you agreed to this funding, and this says that you're gonna do everything that we say you're gonna do, and this says that you're gonna sign everything we say you're gonna sign to get that funding. That's what this says. And what we're dealing with here is the state of California is a captive, they call them a captive agency. I mean, we have the FCC that does not support the people anymore, and a Harvard professor wrote a whole paper on that, and they call them captured agencies. And we have a captured agency in the state of California right now who is not listening to us, who passed vaccine bills that even severely damaged vaccine injured children have to be vaccinated. I mean, this stuff is crazy. And this is not taking into account all what you're signing here. You're basically signing away your right to control the water flow to Fraser Park, California. You're giving it to the state of California by signing this document.
Okay.
And you're saying, go ahead and spy on every single citizen. We don't care, and our citizens don't care. And we do care, and I care, and I think a lot of people in Fraser Park would not want this kind of intervention into their homes. And the smart
Well, isn't the only collection that we're doing is like the same thing that we're reading? All it's doing is transmitting us the information.
It's just meter reads and water flows, so if there's a leak, we get a leak detection.
It's meter reads and water flow. I mean,
Water conservation.
that's all we're doing. That's all we're using
That's
this
maybe
for.
what you're using it for, but
That's all
if you go
anybody
into the
uses it for.
bio-initiative report, or there's a website that shows you exactly what they see. And it's every single toilet flush, every single everything.
It wouldn't be they though, because we're the only ones collecting the data.
That,
when we go
it
around
would be,
and do
it would be
stuff.
here.
nobody else reads our stuff. We do it just simply for billing
We're not transmitting any information to any government agency or anything. It's only for billing purposes that we are putting in the smart meters to collect the meter reads instead of having our employees walk and have to dig out meters every month and read meters. And that's the only thing that we're doing. We're not sending any, we have no dictation to send information to the state. This is only to make the operation of our water company more efficient
Well,
and
this
easy.
says different. This resolution says that, you're obligated to sign and carry out everything, that they say, because you're taking the money from them for these water meters.
as per the agreement for the contract.
Right, and you haven't even seen the contract.
No, we haven't.
We're not
And
gonna
that's-
sign it.
So that
That's
means,
ridiculous.
so
We
that
won't
only-
sign
Because
a
you don't
contract
sign the
until we get a
contract until-
contract.
Well,
Right.
that's the chicken and the egg again. It's
We
like-
won't get funding
You can't
if
do
we
one
don't
without
put in an
the other.
application.
we have, okay,
Well, maybe you
Okay.
don't need funding. Maybe
Yes,
this
we
is-
do need funding.
well, we can raise rates and fund it that way.
Yeah, or you could drill more water and sell to other people. There's plenty of water.
Yeah, at $1 million a well, I don't think so. Not only that, but people don't want us selling our water. Many of places have been shut down for that.
I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just saying, yeah, maybe it's inevitable, maybe, you know. But, I'm just saying, I think you should ask your lawyer about this document. And
Well,
see
we
if-
will in 3 minutes.
Okay, but as far as your, okay.
Whether
So
or
he-
not we filed things correctly, I mean, yes.
It's not a question of
The
filing.
CEQA
correctly.
filing, the resolution where there is notice, he has all that, and I sent him the information that I have.
Mhm.
The same notices I gave you, the same documents I gave you, I sent to him, so that's what he's gonna
Right,
review and
but
let
I'm
us
just
know.
saying, in light of, like, is this a smart agreement for the district to sign away all your rights, to get a funding with a contract
We will
that you
find
haven't
out
even
here
seen
soon.
yet? Yeah, but you're obligating to sign whatever it is, just for the money and for the smart meters. That's what this says.
No, because we haven't gotten the contract and we,
Yeah,
if we don't,
This says he can't say no.
No, it says that we can say no, but we can't say no and keep the funding unless we wanna sign it, but we're not gonna sign anything that doesn't
benefit this
comply with the
community.
best wishes of the district. And just so you know, we're already charged more than people can afford. If we don't start getting some help from the state and the USDA, the bills are gonna go even higher and the low-income people are gonna really be in some serious trouble. Because the system is old, it's from 1939. We need all the funding we can get. And the board always makes sure they don't sign anything that's contrary to the district's well-being. But you have to do the resolution to apply to get the contract. You can't do it in reverse.
We can't get the contract and then,
Yeah, you
and
can't
then
do it
do
in
the
reverse.
resolution, you have to, yeah.
You're authorized and directed to sign and file on behalf of the entity.
Okay. D, we aren't gonna have time, I mean, we've gotta go into closed session. Can we table number 9?
Well, I don't think we should, because we've been trying to get all this stuff together. I think I just need to text the attorney and tell him that we're gonna be calling a little bit later.
Okay,
Because Lisa and Brahma have been,
working very hard on this, I
yeah, so we
know.
don't wanna table it.
Okay, well, that's why I was asking.
I mean,
Um,
A question?
Yes,
I'd like to direct, my comment to you, ma'am. Well, is this the first meeting you've been to?
Yes.
We always encourage and invite the public here, and had you been here, going along this, whole schedule of events here, you'd have been able to put or help us get that input at an earlier stage and where we're at, and I invite you to come back. Every 2 weeks, we're here on Thursday night. You seem like a very, informed resident, and, more informed than most of the guests we have here. And we like to run a transparent organization, and your help and education and some of the things that maybe we aren't focusing on help us put together a more complete package as we go.
Mhm.
So I'd hope that you would continue to come back and add your input, whether it's popular or not,
Or you
to
can observe
enable,
meetings
excuse me,
online. Sorry.
to at least help us get a more cohesive idea and decision-making process going.
Okay, well, let me know after you speak to the lawyer and, you know, if by any chance you could set aside this. I think the negative declaration, because it's already beyond the term limits, that is like something that isn't gonna change in a month or two or whatever. I mean, I will still have that argument. But if you could postpone signing this, or if you feel the need or want.
Well, it's already signed, they've already submitted the application.
Yeah, but it's not active yet. I mean, you could vote to postpone this application.
The application is already submitted to the state, it's already gone in.
Yeah.
Well, this
The
resolution
meter
isn't valid for 30 days.
The meter, I don't think that,
Oh,
I would just,
the meter application hasn't gone in yet.
I would ask you to just talk to your lawyer about this particular language and see if you actually feel comfortable with what it says. Because it's binding you to sign it, and it's binding you to agree to everything that they have to say, all the things that they wanna do. And, you know, I think
Well,
there's
that's
other
only
ways
once
to
we
get
get the,
funding.
but ma'am, that's only once we get the contract, and if we don't sign it, then we don't get the funding, and then that project goes away. I mean, that's really the bottom line. Whatever they put in the contract is something that we review.
Is hereby authorized and directed to sign. So talk to your lawyer about it. I'm saying as.
It's saying that we're authorized and directed to sign a contract when we get the contract.
Support.
So then we still have to review the contract, and then we still approve the contract.
or just.
So what's the name of that document you have in your hand?
This is the
That's our
resolution that you signed last, like 20 days ago or something. Just ask your lawyer about it. I'm concerned that this is binding you no matter what, to agree to it. And that's the way I read it, and that's the way it could be interpreted. And you still have the power, it has to wait 30 days before it even goes into effect. So if you were to talk to your lawyer and say, hey, we don't feel comfortable with the wording, I mean, you could even change the wording and then have the state, and then just go to the grant people and say, we're uncomfortable with the wording that we're, you know, directed to sign and file on behalf of, you know, like, this is very strong wording. So there's a lot of things you have options. You could, you know, you could table this, you could say,
Well,
we
we'll
wanna look
take
it
it up with
over,
the
we want to phrase it in a different way. You know, you don't have to go with what the grant writer says. You can phrase it in your own way, saying, you know. Okay.
We'll take it up with the attorney.
Yeah.
Okay,
Here
We've got a
shortly.
phone call scheduled.
okay, all right.
I just put him back to 7:40, so we need to,
6 minutes.
Okay,
or 7:50 rather, so.
Thank you so much. All right, well, have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
thank you.
Um,
Okay.
Are we gonna take a
9,
break?
discussion, you want a break?
I have to go potty, so.
Can we do the resolution?
Yeah, let's do number 9 and then we'll
9 and
take
then
a break before we
okay.
get our call.
The update on the project meeting held on October 17th, 2019. You were at that meeting, Lisa? You got updates?
I put the minutes in under number 9.
Okay,
I probably should have told him 8 o'clock, huh? He said he's in a holding pattern waiting for us to call him, so.
okay.
So, yeah, I was just wondering, can we wait for Director Nyman for a minute, because he was there as well?
Do we have to? Okay,
Well, basically,
okay, let's take our 10-minute break then.
I
I
will
just
move
told the
that we take
attorney
a break.
7:50, okay, alright.
Well,
I'll tell him later, he said he's been waiting for us.
I know, I
we
understand
can
that.
move this forward, so
I'll tell him
let's
maybe.
talk to,
no, because we have to
If
go
we do
into
that, then
closed
we gotta
session, we
ask
have to,
everybody to
everybody
step out.
to leave.
While we do the closed session, so.
So, now,
How long will it take for Dee to do the test? Well, I mean, it's not, for us.
Well,
to
now we
do.
gotta wait
well,
for
let's just
Jerry.
update on the project.
Well, now we gotta wait for
meeting
Jerry.
As soon as Jerry comes back.
So,
So you wanna do what?
There, and I'm frazzled.
I mean, are we supposed to talk, we're supposed to talk to him about that letter as well, right?
I was gonna say, so
I mean, I'm like,
the terminology on the closed session allows us to talk about one item of pending litigation, which is in regard to the test wells. It is not in regard to her. So you can't talk about two different things in the closed session.
I didn't know that it was the test well.
Anticipated litigation for the test well for, with Saya.
It's the test well, so we can't talk to him about her during the meeting in closed session.
Where does it say test well?
They don't, because it's a closed session. It's, all that stuff is discussed inside the closed session.
Okay. So then okay.
Do you need me to leave now?
No, because
No.
Well, let me, can we, so
you just need to knock it out.
let's move forward on this. So can you hear us, Jerry?
Yep.
Okay, so at the meeting we did at the conference call, that we've been doing, with the state and with, Lawrence from the state, Lawrence Sanchez, Jesse Dollywall, Ryan Eisenhower, and Dave Warner from Self Help. We were not able to. We didn't have Dee or Curtis, so we weren't. And I guess Dee tried to call in at one point, but we couldn't get it to work correctly. So
He was wrangling cows.
he was in the middle of some other stuff. So we weren't able to really do the engineering part that much, but what we were able to do is decide to hold off paying on the $400 claim because it's not enough. So basically the state asks us if the claims are fairly small to try to consolidate a couple of claims at a time and maybe skip a month. We can inform them what's going on, but rather than but not hold on too long either, because we don't want stuff to back up. So that
what's
was
the $400 for?
the $400 is meeting
reimbursement.
meeting reimbursement.
Okay.
That's right here in front of me. Okay, and so that happened. Then we also Oscar is going to be kind of here, Cisneros, in place of in place of Dave Warner, because Dave Warner is going to be out of town for a couple of weeks. We also talked about the test wells and the issues with the test wells, but a lot of that is still up in the air, and that's what we need to talk about, because we still don't have really permission to go on the property of one of the test wells and do some more mapping so that we can figure out.
Have you heard back from the other test site
The
from
C?
from
SEA?
Wainwright?
I have. Assigning? They just realized they didn't sign in.
Not since she sent the letter, she
Thank you.
implied ahead of time that she definitely wanted to work with us, so she just hasn't responded. So I'll have to get ahold of her.
I heard this from Ms. Wainwright, and of course, have not been able to contact SEA.
Right.
And I just sent a letter out to the property owner for well 3, that went out today. And we have a site located, it's pretty much right across from the river from.
So isn't this aren't we out of order because we're still on A and we need to talk about this on B?
Oh, yeah.
So can I just finish real quickly and we can
Well,
move on to.
it was kind
Absolutely,
of
related, but-
I'm so lost now that
Okay, so
I'm just trying to listen.
so just quickly, you have information. So under 9A here, you can read the minutes, which are really helpful. Thank you, Tiffany. And
Guess we should have read that before
one of the
meeting.
really good things is that Lawrence Sanchez approved us being able to send an email in and you know, we're running short on the funds already for the board meetings because this has been going on for so long, and we had to ask for funds that happened a couple of years ago, so now we're short. So he said that we could take money from the staffing portion and actually just send him an email and ask to be able to move that money, so he approved that. So well, didn't approve it, but he gave us the okay on sending an email rather than a really formal process, and that will allow us to move funds over. We don't need a contract amendment. And the only other really thing was that we were talking about the Lake of the Woods at some length and the potential issues with that and what's going on with that, and also that they have nitrate in their system. So and so the state is sort of pressing them on what are you going to do. So at this point, they're talking about putting them back in the project, even if it's only to bring water to the front of the mobile home park, because it's kind of too much on us to ask us to, because we don't know anything about their lines or anything else, but they're talking about putting them back in the project. So that was also talked about.
And that they could do a pressure reducing valve so that we didn't blow out their system.
And yeah, not feed the tank, actually feed the tank directly, and then it would go still through their system, or not feed the tank and do a pressure.
It would not do the
Pressure
tank.
zone.
It would be just it would just be feeding their system, but they would put a pressure reducing.
No, it'd be feeding to the tank, which would make it to where we wouldn't be required to have. They wouldn't be required to have a pump to pump it up to their tank. The system pressure was thought to be enough from pumping it up to Lake of the Woods to get it to the tank.
Well, no, because they were not going to use the tank. He was saying.
They talked about
not?
both. So Jesse
This is-
Dolly
we're
from the state.
talking about the Lake of the Woods mobile park.
Okay. And
So the state was
who didn't
proposing,
want it?
Jesse Dollywall from the state was
Uh-huh.
proposing a couple of different ways of dealing with the Lake of the Woods mobile home
Bob
park.
Connor.
We
Right,
haven't
'cause-
talked to him, so we're gonna need to invite him.
okay, because
to
last I
another
heard we weren't
meeting.
doing anything with him.
Yes, but they're strongly recommending that he join the project because of his issues at the mobile home park. So,
Well-
and the state is
You've
who
got, they gotta talk to
permits.
him then. Why is the state coming to us and talking to us and
It has-
asking us to,
Wait, calm down.
when we can't?
When we can't do what? Part of
We can't make him join.
No, we can't make him join, but the state is who issues permits, and they can tell him that they're not gonna permit him because of his nitrates, and you have to close your water system. And so I don't think he's gonna wanna do that. So the state, there's a couple of places where the state is feeling like they need to exert pressure because of issues that are coming up. So they're probably going to strongly encourage him to be part of the consolidation. So they're asking us to, I think we're gonna be inviting him to the next planning meeting to kind of find out what's going on.
And we would be providing them a master meter like we originally said.
Right.
Because we cannot be responsible for his water
System.
lines and his system. It's a private, or he's a private entity, and he is responsible for his own
Agreed.
John.
system.
Sincerely apologize for this, not trying to rush you, but we got the attorney waiting too,
Right.
so we need to
Okay.
kind of.
So I think
I'm sorry,
that's
I'm
good.
just-
And then there was just they talked about also possibly the state giving us some funds to look into leaking water lines. So all that's kind of up in the air, but there's potentially another project that may be coming up, which would be deal with potholing and looking at leaking water lines.
Okay.
Okay, let's
Okay, D, I guess you're up.
test well site location acquisition
Well,
update.
we have identified three. One is SCA, just to the east of well 5. The other is up near the Fraser Mountain Park Road, crossing over the Cuddy Creek on the north side of the creek, and the other one is just opposite our park, really. on the other side of the river. And one is owned by Mrs. Wainwright, and we've written a letter to her. I haven't received a response yet, but Johnny has talked to her, and she's cooperative and thinks it would be fine to work something out with her. SEA, of course, we've not been able to talk with. And then just today I sent a letter out to a third site, this third site that it looks like a good site, prospective site. The landowner, the owner is an absentee owner. He lives in Marina del Rey, and so he's likely an investor. And so that letter went out today. So we're trying to get some negotiations going with the landowners, and that's really where we are right now.
I just have a quick question on the hydrology test that we already did, or the I forget what that test is called, the geophysical test. Did it show directly across from well 5, kind of close to where Monte Vista well is? Did it showed that as much more shallow, correct, than the so there's like a shelf kind of at Monte Vista, and then it goes down kind of where the road is, and then it stays deeper up into the area around well 5. Is that correct?
It looks like this. It comes up really quickly, which is concerning. It can't go too far to the north. That's the profile right at well 5. You can see well 5 is in there. Yeah. And this is north, and I mean it just comes right up. Here's the road. I think that's Treasure Mountain Park Road right there. And so it just steeply comes up on the north side, not so on the south. And of course, what we're trying to do is determine the information that we don't have is how far this goes to the east, because this is an excellent location for it.
And where is the road exactly? I'm sorry.
It's right there.
So there's no way really it would be so shallow at where Monte Vista is.
Right. Monte Vista is a little bit further east, not much, but it's further east, and it's it's I think 240 feet deep, something like that. So it's probably right on this shelf where this is just at a point right at well 5. Monte Vista is probably right about in there. So yeah, Monte Vista is in.
And how far west does that go?
We don't know.
That's why we need a new study.
So you don't know how far east, I thought, but I thought you had done some cross cuts west.
We've got a cross section that's to the west of there that shows it pretty well tapers out.
Okay.
The issue that we have there is that all those lots in that vicinity are occupied, and we only have our little triangular shaped lot right next to well 5.
And that's where we're projecting to do the replacement well for well 5.
Yes. So the object right now is to just do some very simple geophysical work. These guys carry this thing and they walk across the property and do these profiles. And so what we want to do is do a couple of profiles to the east of well 5 to determine what's the configuration of this graben right, to the east, because we need to get to the east of well 5 onto SEA property in order to get access into this graben. And this is the best location in the whole canyon. Until we get clear up.
And so when you've tried to contact SEA, they just don't answer, or?
They answer and they say he's in the meeting. I've talked to Nathan Aries one time, and that was in September. And I've made 6 attempts, probably about one a week, to come, to call him, and he is always in a meeting and never calls back.
And that's the director, or that's not the lawyer, that's the director.
He's the I think they call him the CEO.
The CEO
of
okay.
SEA.
And I've called a couple times, get the same thing, he's in a meeting. First
And-
time I
and
called,
have
it was
we
easy to
tried
get hold of him.
just directly calling the lawyer to ask the
We
lawyer?
don't have,
We don't have
that,
a
nobody's
number.
giving us anything like that.
We
Okay.
don't have anything right now.
Because
That
we
would be-
had that. We
that
had.
would
Well,
That would be Alan.
Years ago, but
Alan should, lawyers ought to talk to lawyers, and so if that contact were made, it would be
But-
appropriate for Alan to do that, to talk to the lawyer.
Right. I'm just concerned because Alan sort of felt like once you get to that point, then it's
You'll
It's
tell
more-
us on the phone call, but what my understanding is that, Alan can send a letter, and that should, kind of wake him up and say, look, we're serious about this site. What we want to do is something very simple, and it takes one day. And we don't dig any holes, we don't do anything, we walk across the property and we generate these profiles. And we want to very simply determine, is it even reasonable to go to the east to drill a test well as our new well for this consolidation project? It may be that, this thing tapers out right away and we'll say, it just really isn't there. It's not a site that we want. So
Okay.
the very simple thing that we need to do is have these guys come up, run the profiles, and tell us whether or not this thing
But
continues.
first you gotta get the permission. First you gotta get permission.
Yes, and that's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
okay. I have a quick question because on new business, we're talking about going into the closed session, but we still need D around for the new business, correct? The
well,
pipeline?
he's
No.
allowed to stay for the closed session anyway, right? Because it's pertaining to the project.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Am I out of here?
You're out of here. Thank you for coming.
Have a good night, early night tonight.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you guys. for all your
Thank
hard
you.
work. Good luck.
Thank you.
So should we just call him and then hold off on the
Yes,
contract?
I'm gonna move, make a motion, I'm gonna move that we hold off on the discussion vote on the contract 9C and, instead go to item 10 on the agenda, which is the closed session.
I second that motion.
I can call a vote, but we're not gonna have everybody present.
That's abstain.
Yeah, okay.
Here. Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Four,
1-0.
401.
One
Again,
abstention.
Why is it
One
that
was-
hard?
it is hard for me. I don't know why, but it is.
Ayes, nays, abstentions. Ayes,
And she,
nays.
I asked her to write it down for
Okay.
me, and it's sitting right here in front of me.
Okay, we have to.
I'm sorry.
We have
It
to
is-
read this. We have to read this.
Read the oral announcement
The oral
so I can turn
announcement.
off the recording.
Okay, conference, that's where I start?
No,
Oral
oral
announcement.
announcement.
Oral announcement prior to closed session, government code 54957.7A. Semicolon, a representative of legal legislative body to orally announce the items to be discussed in closed session prior to any closed session meeting. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, government code 54956.9B. Item 1.
One item.
10. Closed session pursuant to government code 5495.7. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, government code section 54956.9B. Item 1.
One item.
One item, okay.
Yeah,
And we're offline, correct, and no notes.
in a second.
And I don't know what this is. numbers again?
We're back live on the stream. No, you don't have to do the numbers, you just have to report.
Okay, we are back from closed session.
Time?
Time is 8:14. There is no reportable action to report from closed session. Okay,
Go back to 9.
let's go back to 9C.
Yes,
Okay, the contract with D. Jasper.
which we just got today, right?
I just printed it today. Yeah,
Is that
it was
in here?
emailed to me this afternoon, yes.
Where that's
It's under 9.
9C?
9C.
Alrighty.
9C.
The chronology of this is that, I
Okay.
maybe I need a calculator. Thought I brought it. No, I didn't bring it.
So this is the one we looked at before, but it just had the wrong wording in it, correct? You didn't have,
Dave Warner added a lot of comments and he wanted a number of changes. And so we went through it, before I left to do some work other than engineering, put it that way. And so we made the changes and we sent them up to Dave for him to look at because they were his comments. And so we were waiting for Dave. I was out of town and assuming that Dave would reply, get right back with us. He didn't, and when I talked to Patty this morning, I discovered that he didn't, and he hadn't replied yet, and he's on vacation now till the 24th, I think, out of town. I'm not sure what he's doing. And so I decided we better send this up to you guys to take a look at. I thought we'd already been through that process and you would have had time to review it. So we have made an effort
But
to.
we don't have the attachment A.
Yeah, it's in there.
We do.
We do?
yeah, it's there, it's behind the rest of it.
Oh, it's just a, oh, okay, all right.
And
I'm sorry, I stand corrected.
So we sent those.
So he wasn't able to look at this one last time to see
That's
if all
correct.
of his changes are in here. So does that mean that we have more time to look at it because he's out of town?
Well, I think that if he made the changes, this is something we need to send to, we have to send to the state. Because
Right,
they
but
have
we
to
probably
review it.
want him to look at it one
Well,
more.
he's not gonna be around for 2
3
more
weeks.
weeks. We don't have,
Now it says 3
I mean, the
weeks.
state's been chomping at the bit for a contract. Are we gonna continue to just,
We can mark it a draft.
you
You
know?
know, put big red letters on it or something, and call it a draft.
We can certainly send that to the state if you call it a draft and send it to the state for comments, and then we can make any other changes we need on the next conference call if we need to.
It's not holding us up from the standpoint of, pursuing the well sites and doing everything that we
Right,
need
what's
to
holding
do.
us up is of people, I mean, we're held up regardless of this because of the well site issues.
Yes.
So I think that I would be okay with that if we ask Dee to put draft on it and that we go ahead and submit it to the state as a draft so that they can take a look at it as well. And just say, and maybe put a little cover letter with it that says that we're waiting for, a final from Dave Warner once he returns, from a final from the board, once we look at it a little bit more thoroughly, but in principle,
Leaning on this.
yeah, this appears to be pretty much where it's going.
I can say, this is, in the cover letter, this is a draft, and it's pending board and Self-Help Enterprises
approve?
Final approval.
final
Cool.
approval.
Okay. I did have one question, Dee, because one of the things that came up in the meeting, when
What page you on?
on the
Attachment
attachment
B.
B, was that I think Dave was saying something about, cause you just put in there, 527,852, and I think they wanted more of a breakdown because some of those costs may apply to other things. and that we didn't wanna sign a contract that says this amount, and then you use up all the money, and some of that money is scheduled for other things.
I had a spreadsheet that we had prepared for this, and David marked, he marked it up. The marking appeared to me that he wanted me to not put it in, and so we didn't put it in. But the totals don't exactly match. The 1014, I think they're off a bit. And so I thought, well, we'll go with the state's totals. You know, that's really where we're anchored at. And if we have to make changes from that, we can do that. So what I can do is I can prepare a spreadsheet that will reflect exactly these numbers. And then there'll be in those categories, there'll be some, I think, some minor changes. Some are right on the money.
Right.
I don't know the project management administration.
Right, I think it's particularly test two, the number
test wells?
2, the test wells that
Yes.
we were concerned with.
And I can put that all together. I can put the whole thing together.
Because the other stuff's
We know how
fairly
engineers
clear.
are, if the money's there, they're gonna use it.
Christmas is coming. Come on. No, yeah.
And so I mean, I just wanna make sure that we're specific, that there isn't confusion, that we end up having this chunk, because I'm not really comfortable with their spreadsheet. I'm not comfortable how it's laid out to understand what money's really allocated for what.
Because
And
their
so it's
spreadsheet's confusing.
they're
yeah.
confused. Their spreadsheet to me is confusing. So I don't know what's really allocated to you and what's really allocated for other things. And so that's, I mean, some of that seems a little muddled to me of what they, because they took this out and they put this in, and then self-help is paying this, and so it just, to me, it seems like somebody needs to clarify that a little bit more.
I'll do that, and I'll put the spreadsheet together that it will total these totals now, there won't be any differences. And it's the one that we looked at 3 years ago, except now the numbers are gonna come into these numbers.
They're gonna reflect what changes they made.
Yep, that's what we'll do, and I have that, but I have to modify it to get to these numbers. There are some little differences, so I can do that, and get it up to you for review. This thing bounced around. We were only gonna do 2 test wells, and then, finally when the approval, Lawrence, I think probably really went to work, and those people at the state actually decided, gee whiz, we do need 3 test wells. We need the funding for 3. Hopefully 2 will be fine.
Right, and then we don't spend the
We
extra
don't
money.
spend
But they didn't give us the extra money for
Yes,
our test.
yes, they did. They have it in there, it's contingent, but they're only authorizing initially 2 test wells, so we save the mobilization costs. And then, after we get the testing, if it works out, great. If it doesn't, then we have to do a 3rd, and they've given us funding for a 3rd, but then we'd have extra mobilization costs.
Although what we were trying to do, and that was the whole thing that we were talking to them about, was to still not have extra mobilization costs, because hopefully if we did need the 3rd test well, we could get all that
Yeah.
information in quickly enough to and have that up front with the contractor, so that hopefully we didn't have to remobilize.
That's right. And-
Right, and we've talked, and they've been
Maybe.
flexible with us at the state.
Yes, and
Okay, you guys didn't report that, that had to happen in your little meeting.
No,
No.
that happened
That happened a
in the
couple
board
months
meeting.
ago,
I don't remember
or a
that.
month ago,
Before we signed the
2
contract.
months ago.
When we had that conference call with the state, we were talking about that, and they're sensitive to that extra mobilization cost that we would incur if there was too much of a delay on the state. We can get the lab test done within about 3 to 4 days. We can put a rush on it, and they'll get us the results for the water quality, which is really what, it's all about.
Right.
And so we're putting a rush on those tests, so the contractor's not gonna stand by very long. And he won't have to. The big thing is, we get those test results and we shoot them to the state.
Right
And
away.
the state has to say, they have to look at it. They have to look at it quickly. They have to say, okay, you need a third one or you don't.
But they understood, that was the very first conference call I think we did, they understood that. That was what we talked to them about in the very first conference call. Not this last one.
So
So we took minutes, so it should be reflected in the minutes from that conference call.
Yours conference, not our conference.
We talked about it in the whole board as well, but what Dee's talking about was on the first conference call, not the one we just had. We talked about the whole issue of mobilization and demobilization.
Explain to me what you mean by this last conference call.
We just hung up on.
No.
That's the only conference call
Okay.
we have all been involved in.
Terry, we.
They have
The
been
ad
involved in
hoc, I'm
one.
sorry, the ad hoc conference.
Okay, that's
calls.
that's where I'm trying to
So-
understand.
So the
We have one
ad hoc
every month.
conference call we just had this month, none of this was discussed. That's why it's not in these current notes. The previous conference call, it was discussed. So, which I think was the first conference call, right? We've only had two.
No,
so
it's
we
only
three?
Mhm.
Two. Yeah, just feels like more.
Feels
So,
like more.
yeah, so in the first conference call, that was one of our big concerns, was mobilization and demobilization. Then we talked about it last month at the meeting too, in our planning meeting.
Okay, I'll have to go back and look at the minutes. Okay.
So I
So
think
this-
we're good on that.
So
So we just.
this is the same number that we've been playing with from the very beginning.
Yes.
Because at the very beginning, it was much higher, then they cut.
This is the same number as the number when they cut it. Yes, it hasn't changed from that first
This is the
cut.
contract that we signed with the state for the pre-planning contract. This is the number that's not gonna change. This is what they authorized, that we signed from our board meetings. They had already authorized in there the money for the 3 test wells. The only issue that wasn't clarified was the mobilization issue. And we signed it in lieu of that statement because we have to get approval from the state. And then at our first conference call on the ad hoc committee, we discussed the sensitivity of we needed to be on top of it and quick, whether we could do a 3rd test site so that we wouldn't have the mobilization costs.
And the only changes that might happen to this right now that we've discussed, which we did discuss in the one that just happened recently, ad hoc conference call, was the ability to be able to get the director's funds reimbursed by moving some money out of
The
the
staff,
staff.
out
Well, that's
of
not even listed
out of
here.
the staff. Yeah, well, that wouldn't be listed here. That falls
It's
under
under
the
number
project
one.
management, administration, and legal.
Okay. So, do I hear a motion to,
No, there's no
There's
Motion
no
okay,
motion.
is-
so we're
just
not
going
gonna,
to-
we're not gonna,
So Dee's gonna send the
contract.
contract to the state
as a draft
as a
with a
draft
cover letter.
and to Self-Help Enterprises for review as a draft.
And I will modify the spreadsheet that we already have.
For
to
number
reflect-
2 to reflect the
to reflect,
527,000.
yes, these numbers. Actually, I'll take it all the way through on all.
Okay, as much as you can.
Right, his concern basically was
Number
basically
2.
just having you put one number and then you're gonna spend all that money. And then you know, some of that stuff is broken out separately for other costs, you know. That's not all engineer.
Right.
It's only your part.
Right.
We're keeping the number of your head of cattle down a little.
I need another horse. No, but that's right. And you know, it is all detailed, so we can
Okay.
put that all together.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay, now,
Okay, new business. Discussion on pipeline replacement project.
The state, when we talked to them, they asked about problems that we have in the system. So of course, one of the main ones is pipeline replacement. They strongly recommend that we go ahead and start that process of getting the PER and getting that process going. What?
Really, it was like a fourth project, which is fine. I'm happy with it. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Because now there's all this extra money coming around in December as well, and they feel like it would behoove us to do multiple projects at the same time to coincide with the consolidation project. So it sounds like possibly we could get some funding, but you guys have to decide if we want to proceed with that. And go ahead.
And they even talked about at some point that they could potentially all consolidate into one, but that there's no way of that happening unless
All four of them are
unless
approved.
we already have all these projects going, and then because all of them relate to the consolidation, that maybe they'd be able to get additional funding. I don't know, however the state does it, but that's why they felt like we should be running all these tracks at the same time.
That would be nice.
And hopefully maybe get lucky and it could consolidate at some point
Nice.
with this new funding that they just passed, which is SB, what is that?
SB 200.
B200, which they were talking about that being some additional money. Maybe.
But we did have a cap on the consolidation project because of Prop 1, it was $20 million. But he said that now, since there's going to be the SB 200, that it could possibly exceed that because funding could be gotten from other places.
Lisa,
So as much as I'm exhausted by all this, I move that we go ahead and start exploring and filling out whatever things we need to do with self-help in regard to a new project, a fourth project, the pipeline replacement project. I do have one caveat with that, but I think it doesn't hold up us starting it, so I will say that after we vote on that. So my motion would just be to move ahead on whatever we need to do as far as application, and then I'll discuss the other issue that I possibly
I'll second
have.
that motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
No.
4-1.
4-1-0.
Motion passed.
Motion passed. Discussion and vote on having.
Oh, wait, we're not done yet, because I want to bring up.
What? No, I don't understand. We vote and then you want to discuss things? vote
I
is
said
done.
that there was, no, but it's discussion vote on pipeline replacement project, but we still haven't, there's additional discussion we can do. You don't have to stop discussion because you vote on any other issue. I said there was a caveat.
Okay.
Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so my caveat is our engineer, D, I feel like you are inundated with projects, and I think it might be helpful to bring on a secondary engineering firm to sort of help with this, like a fourth project, because I feel like the more we load on you, it's just a lot. And so I was exploring the idea, I don't even know if it's something that we should do or not, but I wanted to put it out there, of bringing back in like Frank Springer or someone, I don't even know if he'd be interested in doing it, but someone who's previously also worked on the system that might be able to work in a friendly way with your firm to, you know, in case it all does get consolidated at some point. But I just feel like it might be. I know you're always willing to take on more, but I'm just worried about it being too much.
If I could respond to that, you know, we're not that completely filled up and you know, with projects that we can't do something like this. You know, we're certainly blessed with business, but that doesn't mean that we don't have room for more. We have just hired a brand new engineer out of Davis, and we've got another one coming from Oregon next year. And so we're you know, we have some new staff. We've got new staff coming, and you know, something like this, what my initial thought was when you started talking about it was, first thing we need to do is put together a proposal to do a PER, preliminary engineering report on the pipeline replacement project. And you know, but anyway, I don't see this loading us up any more than anything else that we have. This is an important project, and this district is important to us. So you're pretty much on the top of our list, and I think we can prove that by, you know, we've moved ahead with the PER, we've moved ahead with the design of the wells, we've moved ahead with anything that needs to be done here. And the only thing that we haven't really, there's two things. One is, you know, our this main contract that we just talked about. You know, we just need to get some word from Dave and then from the state and from you guys that it's okay, and we're done with that. So, you know, that kind of fell behind when I went on, I'm not gonna say vacation, but did other things than engineering
When
work.
you were wrangling.
Yeah, but, you know, then just doing the increase on the metering project, which, you know, I'm gonna get to that. That's pretty simple to do that, just include those. But you're important to us, and it's important that we keep on top of your project. So if we need help, we'll yell for it.
Garcia.
I would like to think that your familiarity with our system and what we've done, what you've been involved with, would actually help you be on task and on point with this, and hope that you would be prepared and have the wherewithal to put these things together for us. I mean, your familiarity with what we have, what we don't have, what we need, what we don't need. I would hope that the time and money we've spent with you would have, you know, brought you up to speed, and I would look forward to doing some more business with you. But I'm not my decision only. It's something the board has
Johnny.
to decide.
Another positive aspect, I was talking to Lisa about it too, was that, you know, we talked before about you doing the master mapping of the system on the AutoCAD. And if initially what I said to the state was we need to get funding for the vac truck, like you had suggested, to do the potholing around town, so you do the PER, because otherwise you don't know how to do the PER. So, but then whatever information we got, you could put with your maps that you already have, and we would finally maybe have a map of our system that's accurate and works good. So that's another positive aspect of staying in-house.
We've modeled this system hydraulically. You know, we've got what we think is a pretty close layout of the pipes, you know, from actually working with Johnny and working the hydraulics of it. So our mapping, you know, we have pipes in this system. We have a pretty good idea where they are. Some we don't, and some have to find. You know, we already have a map that shows piping now. Whether it's absolutely accurate right now, I couldn't say that it is, but it would require.
We can't either.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's just, there are just so many different maps that what really has to happen is now we have to go out in the field with a vacuum truck and find them.
Yeah.
And, you know, that would be really the operation that would have to happen next. But yeah, we're ready to Ready to
Mr.
go?
Garcia.
I would just like to say that I'm probably a senior member on the board next to Director Schoenberg, and all the different pieces that we've been working with over the past over 10 years could possibly come to one big picture would just be so awesome to see that all the efforts, especially you guys, have put in and over the years to actually come up with an as-built that we could trust and know where our system is at, and that would really be kind of a dream come true. I don't know, I can't speak for you, but for me to see all these different parts actually truly become this, you know, the whole picture.
Director Nyman.
Well, I'd just like to say, you know, I enjoy working with you, Dee, and I think that you do a great job. But I think there was a little frustration over the last couple of months because there's been so many things happening that there were like, we need this contract, that contract, this and the PER. So there was a lot of things that were like time restraint, and some of them we got behind on. And I'm not saying it was your fault. Some of it was self-help enterprises. So I think that's just was our concern. So we just want to make sure that you know, if we're going to do an extra project, that you have the ability to fulfill it, and that you know, in a timely manner, the same way, because as we go forward with this consolidation project, you know, there's you know, we're going on how many years now, and a lot of the state delayed us for a couple of years, and so we just need to make sure that we stay on top of things and you know, keep within a time frame. You know, some of it's our issues, some of it's meetings and all the coordination, but you know, that's the only concern, is just to make sure that we you know, stay ahead on things and go from there. So
Understood. And you know, the contract thing right here, I thought that you know, we had sent it off to get comments. When we got the comments from Dave, we started through this thing and implemented everything that we could on this contract that Dave wanted changed, and then sent it away. And then I went away I wanted to take a couple of days off.
yeah, no, that's fine.
In the meantime, you know.
Well, and I think I got a little confused on because there were so many contracts and so many different things that we're talking about the
Me
new well.
too.
Are
We
we
started
talking?
talking
Are
about
we
the
talking
wrong
about
thing
the
in a
new
meeting.
well, or are we talking about the consolidation, or are we talking about the meter replacement, or are we talking about the IRWAMP? You know, so that, I mean, I think that added to some of this feeling, because I think there was confusion on. I know I got confused on some things, and that's why I held up a check for a board meeting, because I was like, okay, I couldn't remember, you know, I thought self-help, and then I said, no, is it IRWAMP? So then I had to talk to people before we released it, and, you know, we finally released it, but, you know, so that's been kind of, there's just so many things happening. I mean, part of our issue is trying to keep on top of everything that's happening.
A lot of the irritation was waiting for a contract that we thought was coming from D, but it actually was between D and
Tulare, yeah.
And D can't speed them along any faster than they're willing to
Right,
work, so
right.
that was the frustrating
Right,
part
so-
for you.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up. That's it. It's not a, you know, major criticism. It's just, you know.
Well, your projects are important to us, and I hope that we've shown that, you know, we may be terrible on contracts, but in producing the engineering, we move pretty fast.
Yeah.
And, you know, you know, we have really have a great staff. There are a bunch of young guys and some older guys and one real old guy, and you know, we really pay attention to what goes out the front door.
Right.
We're small enough to for the principals to be involved in what goes out the door, and for us, it's important that we try
We appreciate that,
to get it right,
because
you know.
you're always here,
Yeah.
letting us know what's going on, which was a good thing.
And sometimes we don't, but we correct it when we don't. But we do pay attention to that. It's important to us, and your work is very important to us.
I wasn't here for 7C, so I don't want to go back to that and hold this up, but you guys did discuss that contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did.
That's Earl's.
You mean the contract?
The contract.
At length,
the telemetry. Okay, perfect. Okay,
Yeah, he's
So-
working on that, that's.
anyway, so we voted, so we can move on, but I just wanted to throw that out there because that was a concern.
Who was
I've
the
got a whole
seconder
bunch of
on Lisa's motion?
Notes.
Jerry?
Okay. 12. Discussion and vote on having an employee present to operate the live stream and recorder during the board meetings. Director Schober.
Okay, I would like to put my, I don't wanna make a motion right now yet, but I would like to have a second person here. I think that we're running more smoothly than we ever have, but I also know that it can be problematic if we're not starting and stopping and paying attention to the live stream when we've like already established that we're live streaming stuff. And it's really important to have really clear minutes. I mean, I so appreciate Tiffany and her ability now to get the minutes. Really, I mean, we hardly ever find anything wrong with them. And you weren't here back a few years ago, but you know, some of us appreciate beyond a belief the minutes
And how far behind
and,
we were.
and how far
Remember that?
we were so far off, and everything and stuff was so far off, and the corrections were unbelievable. And so I am in favor of this. I'm going to say that I did the math, and it's not a huge amount of money. It kind of adds up to less if we have a second person here, even if they're in overtime with the person who we're considering, it adds up to less than $100 a meeting, which is kind of like having another board member, but it's really, you know, it's assuring that we have two people and things are operating smoothly. And so while I was sort of, you know, saying, oh, well, maybe we should have that person come an hour later. I mean, I'd still love actually if Cassandra would consider coming, you know, just knocking a little bit of money off of it and consider coming 1 hour later on the days that she's actually doing this. But
You mean
even
come in an
In the
hour
morning,
later?
not-
an hour
during the
later in the
meeting.
morning, not an hour later in the meeting, an hour later in the morning to cut
To compensate.
1 hour, you know, because I don't think we necessarily even need to do 2 hours, but just to keep the amounts down in case we end up with like a 4-hour meeting sometimes, you know, so just to kind of balance it where it stays under $100. But I really think, I think it'd be helpful in a number of ways. Number one, we're cross-training Cassandra, so if Tiffany is at a conference or something like that, Cassandra's going to do an even better job just because she's here, she's used to being in the meeting, and vice versa. We've been cross-training. Tiffany knows how to do most of the front desk stuff that Cassandra does when Cassandra's not here. So I just think it's sort of a win-win situation where even though it's costing us a little bit more money, it's going to really help us with a lot of things in the long run. So that's why I am in favor of having a second employee here, and you know, and we can discuss that. But I would like to just kind of put that out there.
I'm in agreement with that. But I would like to see her come in an hour later on those 2 days, and then she's gonna pick up whatever extra time. I think there's a balance there that we can proceed.
Yeah, I mean, I have a problem paying somebody time and a half. You know, in the private sector, bosses just don't do it. You know, if they need you to work at night, you do come in later in the day, because in the private sector they know that they can't afford overtime. You know who pays overtime? County, state, federal. And we are not like that. And if we start authorizing that kind of thing, I just have a problem with it. For someone that's gonna run the tape machine to be making time and a half, you know, I mean, what if we considered another person doing it, like someone, like, you know, when your son was helping you do the files, get everything automated? If it was something like that. Like, you wouldn't need to be a trained receptionist, although I get the point about Cassandra learning how to do it, or the other employee we're planning, but I just have a problem with okaying time and a half for this town's money for another employee to be part of our meeting. And I say $100 a meeting is $200 a month. So that is my opinion about it.
Well, the state reimburses one, is all, but,
Maybe.
so, well,
Well, right now
Maybe.
the state is reimbursing, so really we need to think about it as more likely less, and it wasn't a whole $100, less than, most likely less than $100 a month.
I don't know how difficult it is, but I don't see why a board member, member at large, vice president, because president's running the meeting, treasurer's usually pretty busy, and so is the secretary. But one of those two positions couldn't do it.
I mean, I thought about
I think we could all learn to do it because we rotate. But I don't know why a board member can't.
that
I
would
think
be
it's
worse.
it's hard to be part of the meeting and run a system like that. Just like it would be hard for one of us to take the minutes at the meeting immediately.
I've done it, and it's really hard to take minutes and participate. It's really hard to make sure that you're turning everything on and everything's running, and if there's a problem, like fidget with it in the middle of the meeting, because it's a whole nother thing that's going on. And I mean, we have trouble following stuff, and we're not doing anything else during the meeting, right? So I'm a little worried about us doing it. Just I've done it, you know, since I've been on this board. We used to have a tape recorder. I used to run the tape recorder. I've been the secretary where the secretary actually takes all the minutes and does everything and writes everything and prints, you know, we didn't even have a clerk on the board. And it's a lot, you know, and I just feel like, you know, $100 investment is to keep us really smooth, and there may be some other things that come up. I mean, right now, I don't know, there's always like new stuff that we're having to put on the website, and I don't know, I feel like it's not too much.
We aren't talking about putting things on the website. I mean, we're talking about
This
A
is
couple of-
this
a
is
couple
starting and stopping the meeting and getting all the points correct, and it does go on our website, so that when you view the meeting on either the website or YouTube or whatever, you can go to all the correct sections because somebody's actually pressing the little button every time. If we're not doing that, it doesn't have the correct sections, right?
Do you want me to speak on that? So, I know what you're talking about. If you watch the meeting, the agenda is next to the meeting recording. And if you wanna skip, let's say, I wanna see what the future agenda items are, you click on the agenda next to the meeting recording, and it jumps the video all the way over. So people can pick and choose where in the meetings they wanna watch, and it's actually really, really helpful. Right now, I cannot do that during the meeting. I mean, I'm multitasking. It is possible. There is the capability to do that during the meeting. That would be adding something insane onto that plate. What happens is I go on Monday or Tuesday morning after, and I rewatch the live stream
And add
and
the
add the
points then.
timestamps to the live stream after the fact.
So we're paying you to do that anyway. So we're paying we're paying your salary, which is higher than the person we're talking about, to go through and do the whole thing anyway. So we just
Does
pay
that make sense?
for the entire meeting one more time so she can put in the spots in the correct spots. So basically,
I have to
it's a
do that
wash.
after the fact. The person running the stream could do that.
Put them in
during-
as they go. because you just have to click in the correct spots, right, or put them in. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
clicking.
done
you have
through
to
the
do it.
laptop. It's
Oh,
done
okay.
through the laptop as you watching the stream. There's a timer on that, and every time she announces an agenda item, you'd
You'd
hit that, and
hit
then
the
you would
timer
apply
button.
it to the So it's possible to do it live during the meeting, but I can't. I do it after.
Oh, okay. I thought you clicked, but you have to actually go on the computer. Okay.
Mr. Garcia.
I move that we have another employee present to operate the live stream and record it during board meetings as discussed.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Yay.
Aye.
3-2, motion
3-2.
passed.
Any future agenda items?
But it's not because I know that Tiffany needs the help. I know. And I know that her job has grown since when we first hired Tiffany. And I want her to have the help. I just wish there was another way to do it. Maybe somebody, when we talked about this mentoring at the high school, like somebody, if they're just going to be running the tape recorder, could you train somebody to do it and we could pay them at a lesser amount? I mean, maybe that's not smart, but
Maybe in the future we might be able to groom somebody for that, but they don't have a mentoring program set up yet. And I ran an ad for a full-time job for 2 months and got 0 applicants. So getting somebody that's willing to come in just a few hours twice a month might not be as easy as what it seems like. Especially if you train them and then they decide to go do something else after.
Training
Because
takes a
then
while,
they're
too.
messing up too. There's somebody new on there all the time. So
It's an investment in what we do, and sometimes the investment in what we do is better served with a longer term employee that wants to be here than a shorter term employee that we're paying a little bit less, but maybe they don't
Not
stick
even
around.
know the importance of what they're doing.
Yeah. So I mean,
if you're sure about the faithfulness of the employee, and
I'm
if
never
this is
sure
going to
about
be
faithfulness of
open-ended,
employee.
if it's going to be open-ended, or is it just it's a done deal now? We voted and it's going
Yeah.
to be.
well, it's
There's
well,
gonna
not
be an
until
opportunity.
who the person
We
is.
could always-
We're voting on the second person.
we see how it works out. Anything can always be revisited.
Yeah, and
the board,
rescinded and
and a board
changed.
member
and-
can do an initiative and bring up a subject that they want to discuss on the
That's why we
agenda
have
at
those
any
items.
time. So
Okay.
if we want to revisit it, like I said, on that day, she should come in probably the business hours as opposed to coming in early.
well, the agreement and what Lisa said too was to come in an hour later.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
2 hours later, but an hour later, and then that's meeting you halfway in the middle.
Right.
Sort of a compromise and like we said, we're saving money. If she's able to actually put in all the stuff, then we'd be paying Tiffany to do that anyway at not a higher rate, but at close to the rate that she's getting paid at time and a half. Not quite, but it's a little bit more to pay Tiffany to do it. So
Well, it's not just that; it frees up more time. with
Okay.
for
Tiffany's
Tiffany
time.
and other stuff.
Okay.
Should we, because we're gonna have to
Well, we're
make a
still on
motion,
that.
so.
Not unless there's
To
any.
extend the meeting?
No,
No.
let's do
Well,
number
let us-
13.
Discussion and vote on any future agenda items.
Well,
We've
we
added
better
them all
put
along the way.
That safe meter lady, right?
Do we want that? Yeah.
I think we should put it on just in case because it's certainly not good as just a audience. It's just.
Well, I definitely plan on putting it on when we got an answer back from Alan Dowd.
Right.
And I think we need a closed session again with Alan Dowd.
Yeah, because he's gonna go through all that stuff and determine if we have to do
Right.
anything.
So, yeah.
Because we also have do we need to put a
Do we-
closed session in regard to the other,
I'll add anything that comes up.
okay.
So
Closed
maybe
sessions.
we do 2 items.
We do
Yeah,
2 or 3,
yeah,
4
I'll
or
handle
5.
everything that comes up.
Can we put other?
No.
3 items in other?
I wish, but no.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Anything
I do
else?
have something else we need to add. Or do you have the change of the board members on there?
Oh,
That's-
no.
December.
Right, but I know it's December, but maybe we should start discussing it early so
I-
people,
Can?
can we just put a discussion on there? Because,
Yeah, that reminds me. Sorry. Yes.
because people need to start thinking
So
about
in
what they're
November.
willing to do, because on the December meeting, it just has to happen. And I don't wanna take up a whole bunch of time making that happen, if we can help it.
Tiffany,
So if you go under number 4, a board member asked for a description of the duties.
yes, I did.
There it is. It's really a draft. It's something I threw together. If you have an
Oh,
opinion,
4 in here?
yes.
Well,
Okay.
I think you should put it on as an agenda item to discuss, because I mean, I think we need to discuss.
It can be part of that same agenda item, so
Yeah.
you could have an A and a B.
Yeah,
So, cause
Okay.
we're at 9 o'clock, so we either need to extend or
this is
close.
fast.
I make a
Oh.
motion
But
that we
I didn't
adjourn.
see that.
I second it.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 500
At 9 o'clock.
at 9 o'clock.
And I happen to have an interesting story to tell you. I don't know if you were part of it.
And are we off?
Not yet.
The trail just got pulled